in Grassroots Comics, we have not just one format. This is one of the format, which is called
Right.
wall poster comics format, and there you see only these 4 frames.
Right.
The simple methodology is that you use two A4 size papers and black
Right.
pen and pencil. The
Right.
reason is that A4 size papers are available every nook and corner, and then
Right.
reproduction is through the black and white and photocopier. So
Right.
once you have multiple frames or you have complicated layouts, the readability becomes very difficult. And since
Right.
it is a medium for communicating your message and you are
Right.
taking these stories to the common masses, probably they are not very well educated on how to read comics, forget about the drawing.
Right.
In fact, it's very interesting that 90% of my audience I am working with, they
Right.
are they have not read comics in their life. But if you will go there and you will ask, okay, have you read comics? I said
Right.
yes. So they will show you a wall poster comics and not a conventional comic book. For them,
Right.
comics is this one, and it's very interesting when you are. It's simple to draw, and it is also when while you are distributing it, it's easy for the audience, for the people in the street. In a glance, you can quickly understand okay what it is all about. You can
Right.
go through the visual. Half of the story is clear from the visual, and once you are interested and once you know who created it, and that is also one of the very
Right.
important aspect here, you will go close to the story and you will start reading it. Now
Absolutely.
imagine if there are not four boxes, but there are 8 boxes, or the
Right.
layout is complicated and you don't know how to move from left to right and go top to bottom, or you have to move this way or that way. Then,
Right.
uh, then there are chances the audience will leave your story halfway and they won't get the message across. So,
Right.
so it is a simple left to right, top to bottom, not only for the creator but also for the audience. It
Right.
is also for the reproduction point of view, it is easier. But apart from it, you can also, once the stories are ready, you can reduce it and you can make an A4 size small booklet, or you can compile it into a book form. If
Right.
you cut it from the middle and you put the bottom part on top, you can make a comic strip like that, and you
Right.
reduce it, it will look very professional. So
Right.
these kind of comic strips, we started supplying it to local newspapers in 3 4 states, and the
Right.
many newspaper they started like publishing these stories created by the common people. And this
Right.
is exactly how you can place the voices of the common people into mainstream media in the language they understand the language of comics, they understand the black and white sort of storytelling medium. So that is
Right.
also something very interesting, and this medium is the message. This is what I believe.
Hey guys, good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to another session of Dialogues That Matter, an interview series where we talk to people who are doing stellar work in their own fields. And today, to that effect, we have someone who's doing something really unique and is using an art form that we would like to call an art form to project voices so that people can express themselves and use this beyond its limit for an extent. I'm talking about Sharad Sharma, who is the founder of World Comics Network. He's a Delhi-based cartoonist who has conceptualized the idea of grassroots comics. This was during the early 90s, which is now a global movement. Over 100,000 common people have been trained in grassroots comics, the methodology across the globe, and he promotes the use of these comics as a communication tool, which is super exciting. This is not limited to just common people, activists, artists, professionals, and even normal people like you and me. In fact, I'm a testament to this. I have attended one of his workshops when I was very young, of course, and but it was really exciting to be able to express express my point of view, my own expression. And having seen the work that he does and how this kind of impacts other people, I've seen how it gives voice to different kinds of people, and for them to kind of share their perspectives, right? So we are super excited. Thank you so much for joining us, Sharad, despite the difficulties that we had, and for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me.
We are super excited, like I said, and I want to begin with understanding. I mean, let's get right to it, right? So I want to begin by understanding what are grassroots comics. If you could tell us in a couple of lines, or what would the elevator pitch of grassroots comics be, if you could tell us that.
Okay, so I'm sure each of my answers are going to be very long, but I try to explain everything in a, let's see, in shortest span of time. So,
Right.
what is grassroots comics? I worked as a political cartoonist myself in newspaper, and then I joined television. I worked for quite some time in online medium as well. I
Right.
was also working parallelly in development sector, like helping lots of small NGOs, people's movement, and people who are working in the development sector, that how they can communicate their ideas, their thoughts, using the medium of line art or using the medium of storytelling. And now today we know
Right.
as a grassroots comics medium. But what is grassroots
Right.
comics and how it is different from the mainstream comics is very uh, the simple explanation would be like these comics are not drawn by the artists themselves. So the common people are the one who are telling their story, and eventually they are also drawing their stories. And
Right.
so there is no uh, art as such, like quality of drawing is really important here, but the people, what they want to communicate and what they think is important to themselves is very primary here. So we are not really bothered about the about if people are really, forget about the drawing part, we are not even bothered if they really know how to read and write, if even if the illiterate people are coming to my workshop and they are telling their stories. So these grassroots comics are for the, I must say, the 80-90% of the silent majority who hardly get a chance to express their ideas and thoughts through the medium, through the mainstream media. So we are providing them grassroots comics as a medium for expression and as a communication
Right.
tool, and also as an like alternative mode of communication. So this is how I think I can say that grassroots comics are simple, cost effective, and drawn by the people themselves.
Right. I think it sounds very promising and very exciting, to be honest, especially in a country like ours, where there's such a diverse population, so many languages, so many limitations. And I think something like this is very enabling, right? So, what has your experience been like? And how do you think this is an effective communication tool with the kind of people that you have interacted and the kind of voices that this has enabled? Could you talk to us and perhaps
Yeah.
elaborate a little on how this is an effective communication tool?
So while working in mainstream press, we always had this sort of notion that okay, everybody is listening to us or reading our stories or watching us. And I'm talking about the early 90s, when there was no
Right.
as such like a mainstream television medium was available. Only there Doordarshan was there, and the print media used to exist, and internet was not
Right.
even there. But
Right.
even today, if you see the ground realities are not very different, in a way that the still majority of the population, their issues are not really resonating in the mainstream press, and unfortunately if they are not there, they are also not getting uh, heard by the policymakers, or it's not becoming the part of the policy document.
Correct.
Unfortunately, these voices are the people who think, sitting in the power centers, they think okay, only the rich and powerful and the political class or the corporate or the, or what we call the different C's, the not the common man is there, but the cricket, corporate, and the crime related stories always dominates in the mainstream press. So how
Yeah.
the stories of the common man will come in the forefront and they will get their due space in the mainstream press, that was always a struggle. But working in mainstream press, what I realized that it is not each time a journalist should go to the field and get the stories or write the stories on behalf of the certain population. What if you provide a tool of communication to the to the masses and let them tell the stories from their own perspective. And that's why
Right.
when the, let's say in a workshop, if 30 people are telling a story, so we'll get 30 different perspective. But if a
Right.
person who is traveling to one area and giving and telling only his or her narrative, and that is a very personal sort of narrative with all sorts of cultural and stereotypes and point of views from a
Absolutely.
single man single person perspective, you will see in those stories. So that's why
Right.
I always see that there are more and more people who are telling a story how to make the communication, and especially the development communication, is more democratic platform, and how
Right.
common people and the masses, they can tell their stories, and also let them decide the which story they think is important to themselves, and not let anybody else dictate to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, like you're saying, it's exactly what it does. It's almost like taking the mic to the common man and to make sure his voice or her voice is heard and is heard loud and clear, right? Which brings me to the question of what do you think and how is this relevant in today's day and age where everybody has, say, a smartphone or a phone, and everybody is kind of able to express their opinion through what we call the internet, through anonymity or whatever. Could you elaborate a little on how do you think this
Surely.
is still relevant and things like that?
Yeah. So let me give you a very current example from my last workshop. I work with, and we are in pandemic time. So
Right.
I worked with the nomadic tribes in Rajasthan recently. And
Mm-hmm.
it was in the midst of COVID, and when everybody was like switching to the Zoom platform or the online different platforms. And it was my constituency, my audience is living in the far flung of areas. They hardly had any access to internet or I mean, forget about the internet, no devices, no electricity, no internet, nothing. So
Right.
for these people, uh, uh, not just like it is important for them to tell their stories or documenting their stories, but the kind of stories they wanted to share was about when the ration cards were becoming online. I mean, you have to enroll yourself and go online, and then you will get the ration from the ration shop in that area. And most of these people, last 6 months, they have not get any ration because they were not able to enroll over there. Now imagine we are
Okay.
talking about the digital India and all sorts of programs, but the ground realities are very different.
Right.
What kind of stories people really want to share? They want to tell the stories about their daily life struggle,
Right.
the stories which is really affecting their health, education, infrastructure, and daily survival. These are the important questions still we have in this country. Forget about the 5Gs and 4Gs and the internet speed and Zoom platform and online, switching to the online platform. The people is still living in the 70 or 80% of the population, which is really not connected to any sort of these platforms. That is my audience. And for
Right.
that, I had to really step out of my studio, go there, meet them, sit with them, and help them to tell their stories. Why this medium is still relevant in the era of this internet uh, marathon is going on now. But because the people, they want to tell the stories where there is no as such like technology barriers or gadgets are not available, but still they have paper and pencil, and they want to sit anywhere without any sort of even uh, electricity or anything. You can
Right.
still tell your story, you can still draw your story, you can still write your story. Even if you're not able to read or write, you can still draw your story, and somebody is always there to write simple dialogues in your story. And
Right.
nothing like creating your own content when the people, these my audience, which is living in all over the countryside, even within the city also, the pleasure of creating your own content is immense. And when somebody, I remember in my workshops, the homeless people, the nomadic tribes, the people living in conflict region. Each time when they are creating something, they are very, very, very happy and very proud of what they have created. They will go to it's a photocopy medium, it's a black and white medium, so we are not dependent on any sort of like uh, reproduction, like on like mass scale reproduction, or you need like a huge amount of money to reproduce your content. It's a
Right.
simple black and white photocopier content. You create your story, you create a wall poster, you go to a nearby photocopy shop, and then you make like 5 or 7 photocopies. What is happening afterwards? You distribute these stories, you paste it on strategic location, on trees, on lamppost, on meeting places, and then you find that in half an hour time entire town is talking about your story, or you are opening up discussion on the issue which you think is relevant to you or relevant to that specific area. And that's why these storytelling in a very old fashioned way, I must say, in a very cost effective manner, will remain in fashion forever, I'm sure.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm telling you this with very confidence, because I've worked in Switzerland, in Germany, or in America, in those developed areas, countries as well. But I have also seen people in countries like in South Asian countries, where each and every person is very much keen to share their part of a story. Unfortunately, the medium is lacking, and the moment you
Yeah.
provide a simple, easy to communicate medium, they would be uh, very, very eager to use it, and they will grab that opportunity.
Right. Could you talk us through, some of the stories, some of the issues that you've come across over your years with the experience that you have, and perhaps show us some comics as well? In that process, if you can also talk us through the entire experience of a workshop, where it begins, where it ends, what happens in the middle as well, so our viewers understand what it is.
Yeah. So, do you want me to switch to the share my screen and show some
Or if
stories?
you have some comics around you as well, you can show that physically as well, whatever is suitable to you.
Okay. So, in a workshop, okay, so how the workshop really starts? We are not waiting for any invitation from the organization or the people we really want to work with.
Right.
We are making a plan. We see that, okay, uh, let's say in somewhere in northeastern state in Manipur, where we know that people are living in those remote areas in states, and also the conflict-ridden states. So
Right.
how the mainstream media, most of the mainstream media, so-called mainstream media, is not really uh, uh, reaching there, or they are not really not bothered to cover those issues, or even if they are traveling to those regions, they are only interested to cover the conflict side of a story, but not the story which are really important for the local masses. From the local perspective, they are really not really interested to cover those stories. So in my workshop, when I'm traveling, let's say in a district like Ukhrul, which is on the border of the Myanmar, and they used to get only 2 hours of electricity, no access of internet, and since you can't charge your mobile also, so you don't know when the electricity will come. So network was not really very frequent, and electricity is not frequent, and newspapers are
Right.
not reaching. So local newspaper are very not very uh, I must say that their coverage is very limited. And then you have a sort of like community media where everybody is coming together, and they want to share their story. So there was
Right.
eagerness, there were people were very keen to participate in those workshops. They not just participated, but they wanted to tell their stories, which were very, very important and very crucial for the local audience. And they created those stories. In a workshop, people are coming, and we are not really dictating them what to tell and how to tell. We are just showing them few example of the previously created comics, and then we are telling them how they can follow the same structure, or they can uh, uh, create their own story. Most of the time, people are our participants uh, are telling stories in local languages, and we
Right.
work with the local interpreters, and that's why when they are telling stories it takes bit longer time. Translation takes lots of time, but that's fine
Sure.
because people
Yeah.
love to share their story. They want to make sure that there is an audience which is listening and paying attention to my story. And then
Absolutely.
eventually, when once the story is there, uh, after each and every story, what follows is a very interesting discussion on the issue. Let's say if there is a
Right.
story on gender, or there is a story on jhum cultivation, which is a slash and burning thing in Northeast. So then, just after the story, the discussion will start, and there are lots of different point of views. And this is the
Right.
exactly what would happen post workshop when the final product is created, and then you photocopy and you distribute this to the local audience. The final product is not the final wall poster comics, but the debate
Yeah.
and discussion what really opens up after the creation of the comics. So the
Absolutely.
post workshop, in the rest of the workshop, after telling stories, they get lots of feedback, and then they polish their story, they edit their story, and afterwards they learn how to develop the visual script, how to convert their story into visual form. That is a very interesting transaction. And then people are sometimes they are not really afraid of drawings, but they are very eager to draw, because in the initial part of the workshop, we are taking the fear out of them when we are doing some
Yeah.
interesting exercise of drawing. And afterwards,
Yeah.
they are just simply into drawing, and they are glued to the drawing. And even if you want to break for longer period of time, they won't allow you to do that. They will come back to the workshop hall. They are very much keen to finish their first final product. So it takes like
Right.
3 to 4 days time to finish one comic poster. But the second poster they can create, and most of the people are creating in just 2 hours of time, because once you know the process and methodology, it won't take much time to create the second or third poster. So that is
Absolutely.
that this is the and there are some other steps, but I won't go into details now
Of
right
course. Of course. I think what you're saying, and which is what makes a lot of sense, is that it's a sense of in places like you mentioned in Ukrul, right? So there's a need for the voices to be heard, and because there is no media available, plus it's personalized stories being shared in a community medium, and everybody relates to it, and it's simple, like you're saying, which is what makes this a really unique communication tool, right?
now.
Um,
Exactly. I'll just add one more interesting thing
sure. Yeah.
in this Ukrul incident. Post workshop, after the creation of the comics, and it was very much part of the workshop. We collected all the comics, we photocopied, and we went outside in the market, and everybody is like showing their stories to the people. And then because these states are very much infamous for the economic blockade and bunds, and long hours, long not only hours but long weeks of bunds are there. So when the shopkeepers they saw the kind of procession is coming towards them, they started pulling down the shutter of their shop. And then
Right.
somebody went there and said, no, no, it is not a call for the bun,
Right.
but we are just here to show our comics to you. And they
Right.
started looking at the story, and they suddenly find that, okay, there are local people who are just living here. They have created some interesting comics posters, which is not really providing kind of solution at the end of the story, but kind of like very engaging and raising questions, or telling the story as it is happening. So they could relate with the story. The stories were created in the local Tangkhul language. They can
Right.
see does it, and that was also one of the very uh, interesting and connecting point there. They can see who is the artist living next door, and then once they started going through the stories, they find it very interesting that somebody is really documenting these stories, telling these stories which are very crucial. The stories like during the Bandh, how the life of the daily wage earners are affected, or
Absolutely.
during the economic blockade, this gas cylinder was uh, become so costly that the common people they couldn't afford it. These kind
Right.
of stories, and there are also stories on not just the stories on related to conflict, but stories on infrastructure, bad condition of road, health, and so on. So what happened afterwards? The people, they said, "Can you give us the photocopy of this?" And the
Yeah.
creator of these comics, who were most of them have created their comics for the first time, so they couldn't believe that somebody in the street is asking for a copy of it, because initially
Right.
they themselves were not very confident of creating these stories. They said, "Yes, yes, why not? Why don't you pay just 5 rupees of a photocopy cost?" And said, "No, no, no, please take 100 and draw more, please."
Right.
And in half an hour time, we find we got more than 2,500 rupees. The people in the street not just reading the stories created by the local people, but they are very eager to buy those stories. And
Right.
that's a very rare sight, because in most of the, especially with the propaganda stories or in NGOs work, the content is created by some well qualified person, or by undrawn by some artist. But here the
Right.
content was created by the local people, and it was very much related, or people could really see that the artist also, and they could relate with the story. And
Yeah.
that and these I think very interesting points where people could see that, okay, this medium is very interesting, and they wanted to buy those stories. And
Absolutely.
that is something I can see, it is happening in many places, not just in Ukrul, but in different part of the globe, where whenever we are going post workshop for the field testing exercise, each and every time the audience is glued to these stories, and they would
Right.
either debate, discuss the story, or they would give you more suggestions for the next edition of the poster, or they will would be interested to support in some way to this cause.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you're saying, I think the idea is also to see how this creates some kind of a sustenance or some kind of a shift in perspective, which is what the comics do, right? And what you're saying is sounds very promising and very exciting, to be honest. I'm a little curious to know what are some of the challenges that you face on ground when you conduct these workshops, whether it's the technical aspects of it, whether it's approaching these people, whether it's making sure the voices are heard. What are some of the challenges that you face?
So now, last almost 1 year, the biggest challenge is to reaching out to my real audience. I'm doing
Right.
lots of workshop, but most of my workshops are online now. In fact,
Right.
99%. So
Right.
the last workshop which I did with the doctors in St. John's Medical College in Bangalore,
Right.
and we are using comics as a graphic medicine tool, and these doctors, they were telling their stories from their own daily life experiences, and also simplifying some of the stories or some of the information of the related to the TB treatment, or the causes, or the precautions one need to take, and this sort of a story. And they created fantastic stories. So I was like sitting inside my studio, and most of all my participants were sitting under one roof in the medical college there, and they were like showing so much of interest towards this medium, and even they were like practicing, and they were working inside the hospital, but they could really spare this much of time, and uh, they created fantastic stories which were exhibited in different places in on TV Day uh,
Right.
on 24th of March. Uh, so this pandemic is one of the biggest challenge right now. How to
Right.
reach out to the real audience? How to reach out to the people who we used to work with, but now their stories are not coming to the forefront.
Right.
Unfortunately, this audience is nowhere because of the visible online medium. We see only people who have access to internet, access to the mobile device.
Yeah.
But this is one of the challenges. I mean, apart from the pandemic, we have the other challenges are that people don't believe that, okay, the comics is could be such as kind of
Powerful
like
tool.
engaging
Yeah.
and serious medium, that you can also work in conflict region, or the kind of stories like traveling to Pakistan and working on religious intolerance issue, that nobody will believe that, okay, when there is a conflict, when there is sort of like disturbance is going on, somebody can come and say, okay, let's draw comic, and you
Yeah.
can solve the issues. So then once they will participate and they will understand the methodology, I'm sure that each and every time people are uh, they are becoming a fan of this medium, and they want to stop after creating one story. But the first step is very challenging, that how to convince the people. The other challenges are I think we are last more than a decade now thinking that how to introduce this medium as a powerful comics journalism tool.
Right.
And also we have been using this as a teaching learning tool in the primary and secondary school level, in the school education.
Right.
And there also we find that it is difficult when you are bringing this kind of very radical sort of ideas, and people are really not open to this sort of idea where the student will bring their homework in the form of comics, or
Hmm.
there will be comics notice board hanging in each and every school, that
Yeah.
how the learning and teaching will become so simplified and and related to more like interactive and fun related, where each and every person is telling a story and not just doing their boring homework. And this really
Right.
happened in few places where we were working in Chhattisgarh and UP. So
Right.
they were like really many teachers, they started like giving homeworks to the school student, and they school student used to bring their homeworks of including mathematics and science and even Sanskrit in the form of wall poster comics.
Common.
So that is one
Right.
of the possibility where you can really embed these methodologies into the curriculum, and where the teachers and I must say the not just the journalism student, but the development communication or social work student will also use it to communicate their ideas.
Absolutely. I think what you're saying is that you're almost subverting the idea of a comic, which is meant to be for enjoyment and, just fun and frolic. You're just flipping that to say that serious. I think that's the biggest challenge. And it's nice to see that you're working hard towards changing that mindset. And like you, is endless, right? Like there's no end and to the possibilities that are available to you. So we wish you luck with that, and we really hope you do succeed, because it sounds really promising and sounds like a really interesting path to explore. I just want to ask a really curious question, and I want to see if you have an answer to this. Why four boxes? Why is it four boxes in the story? If you could let us in on that bit of it.
Right. So, so the in grassroots comics we have not just one format. This is one of the format, which is called wall
Right.
poster comics format, and there you see only these four frames.
Right.
The simple methodology is that you use two A4 size papers and black
Right.
pen and pencil. The
Right.
reason is that A4 size papers are available every nook and corner, and then
Right.
reproduction is through the black and white and photocopier. So
Right.
once you have multiple frames or you have complicated layouts, the readability becomes very difficult. And since
Right.
it is a medium for communicating your message, and you are
Right.
taking these stories to the common masses, probably they are not very well educated on how to read comics, forget about the drawing.
Right.
In fact, it's very interesting that 90% of my audience I am working with, they
Right.
are they have not read comics in their life. But if you will go there and you will ask, okay, have you read comics? I said
Right.
yes. So they will show you a wall poster comics and not a conventional comic book. For them,
Right.
comics is this one. And it's very interesting when you are it's simple to draw, and it is also while you are distributing it, it's easy for the audience, for the people in the street. In in a glance you can quickly understand, okay, what it is all about. You can
Right.
go through the visual, half of the story is clear from the visual. And once you are interested, and once you know who created it, and that is also one of the very
Right.
important aspect here, you will go close to the story and you will start reading it. Now
Absolutely.
imagine if there are not four boxes, but there are 8 boxes, or the
Right.
layout is complicated and you don't know how to move from left to right and go top to bottom, or you have to move this way or that way. Then,
Right.
uh, then there are chances the audience will leave your story halfway and they won't get the message across. So,
Right.
so it is a simple left to right, top to bottom, not only for the creator but also for the audience. It
Right.
is also uh, for the for the reproduction point of view, it is easier. But apart from it, you can also, once the stories are ready, you can reduce it and you can make an A4 size small booklet, or you can compile it into a book form. If
Right.
you cut it from the middle and you put the bottom part on top, you can make a comic strip like that, and you
Right.
reduce it, it will look very professional. So
Right.
these kind of comic strips, we started supplying it to local newspapers in 3 4 states, and the
Right.
many newspaper, they started like publishing these stories created by the common people. And this
Right.
is exactly how you can place the voices of the common people into mainstream media in the language they understand. They understand the language of comics. They understand the black and white sort of storytelling medium. So that is
Right.
also something very interesting. And this medium is the message. This is what I believe.
Right, right. No, I think what you're saying is really powerful, and it is the way to kind of reach the masses, right? To kind of cover up the barriers of the different languages, the different just the diversity that we have, to kind of cover that up with a simple tool like comics is really sounds very empowering, and it's really nice to see that there are people who are doing this. I
Exactly.
just
And if
have
you just, yeah,
Yeah,
if
go
you
ahead.
just allow me, I remember one of the incident in Bihar, working
Right,
with the street vendors, rickshaw pullers, and homeless people. They created their story. They made their comics and they went outside holding their comic like this, and then going in the street. And the people, they stopped, and they said, "What is that? Uh, you are a vegetable vendor. What you are holding? Do you need some money? Do you need some help, or what happened?" And then she said, "No, no, nothing. Yes, I sell vegetable, but I also create comics now. So would you like to
right,
read my story?"
right,
And then this guy said, "No, I'm also not literate, so I can't read it. But then can somebody read it for us?" So they were like two school going kids. They were going, and they stopped
right,
and they said, "Can we read it?" Because they find it very interesting. And they started reading the story loudly over there. And suddenly they were like uh, some 15 20 people. They were started paying attention to this storytelling session. And
absolutely.
there was a school nearby, and the school principal, she came out and she was like keen that why her school students like outside and what they are doing outside. And then she got to know, okay, these are the stories created by these local people, this sort of uh, homeless and vendors, street vendors. And then she said, "Why don't you come inside? Why don't you please come inside my school and go to each and every classroom and read these stories for my students?" Now
Right,
imagine, when the people selling vegetable in the street got access inside the school and they are interacting with the school student. You
absolutely.
remove this piece of paper and then your license is gone. So this
Yeah,
is a very, very powerful tool, which is really, when you are holding this in your hand, it is giving you access, and it is really kind of a certificate where you say, now I can also tell my story, and with all sorts of confidence.
yeah,
And this we have seen time and again. And everywhere I go, I see at the end of the workshop, people are so confident, they are so happy, and they are glad that they managed to document their story.
right, absolutely. I think, like you're saying, like when you're saying, it's so heartwarming to know that there are these stories, and the story that you would particularly shared, it's so heartwarming to know this. And like you're saying, that's exactly the power of this medium and this tool, right? How does one get in touch with you, Sharad, for collaborations, or just to perhaps have a conversation with you and to know more about your work?
Yeah, so we always believe that, okay, if we have more and more people, it's not like if you will read my 10 stories from the website, you will get to know the power of this medium, because there you don't see the transformation. Transformation happens during the workshop. I would be very happy if you are interested to participate in one of my workshop. We have a Facebook group called Comics Power, this one, and you can join over there. And most of the time we announce our workshop, and if we have enough application, we would be happy to uh, open a free workshop for our online participants. And then you can also experience that how powerful it is when you are telling a story which is really close to your heart.
Absolutely. I think before we let you go, I'm going to ask one last question. Could you talk to us a little about what's the future for Comics Power like? Where else are you going to go and empower people, or what are the things that we can perhaps see that's going to come out from Comics Power?
Yeah, so even more you work in this area, then you realize and understand the power of this medium. I was the other day I was looking at my archive, and I find there like stories created by some vegetable vendors in Assam, and some people working in the field in Mizoram, and some activists working in NGOs, activists working in Badmer in Rajasthan on infanticide, feticide issue. Now imagine all these people, their stories. After 15 years, when you look back, you find it's a kind of documentation of the common people's history.
Yeah, yeah,
And the history of the common people is not documented anywhere. So I am
yeah.
sure that in future, if the medium is used to document the story, histories and stories of the common people, this is nothing like it. One, and that is also created by themselves. Nobody else is coming and telling the story on their behalf. One, and the second, I'm sure that there's a huge potential not to use comics only to tell the superhero stories, but to use it to tell the stories of the common masses. And that is only possible if we will embed this methodology into our school curriculum and also the higher level curriculum, like in development communication or in social work or in mass communication, and how to use
Absolutely.
comics as a comics journalism tool. That is going to be the future of grassroots comics, I'm sure.
Right. Thank you so much. I think that was really insightful and so empowering, at the same time humbling, and promising to see the power of comics, grassroots comics, and the whole idea of comics journalism. And like you said, the idea to subvert the idea that comics are so fun and frivolous, and to subvert it to say that no, you can create serious conversations and long lasting impact with something like this. Thank you so much, Sharad, for your time. I would love to keep this conversation going and to understand more and more, but unfortunately that's all the time we have. But if anyone has any questions, you can reach out to Comics Power. We'll put down the social media handles. You can definitely reach out to them, and we only wish you more success in your venture, and wish you the best as well. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Pleasure. Pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.